Hey, everybody, welcome to the 10-day growth hacking challenge with your host, Nader Sabri. You're here today with Richard, who is part of the first season and the fourth episode. We're here on his second growth hack, which we are talking about today. But just to recap where we're coming from, Richard is growth hacking wellness and personal performance. He's looking at it from a holistic perspective and how to growth hack his existing client base and take that into a supercharged secret growth hack, which we will not be telling you about right now, but keep tuned. There will be something coming towards it in the future. Right, Richard?
Yes. Working on it as we speak.
Working on it as we speak. That's what I love about it. So just as a quick reminder before we get started, this is based on the growth thinking methodology, which is in the book here, which teaches you how to growth hack using design in a structured process. So here we are today. We're going to get started. Richard is going to tell us a little bit more about his second growth hack, what has happened, where he is, where he's going next, and some of the things he's experienced. Richard, over to you.
Awesome. Nader, should I talk about a little bit of progress with my first growth hack? Because things have changed. So I'll start there and I'll go over to the second. So the first growth hack, guys, was tooling on my end. So optimizing my systemization and my technology use. So I really wanted to automate client scheduling and payment processes for current and prospective clients. So I was working with Calendarly, and awesome, just kind of resource and system. There were a few things just right off the bat that I wasn't getting from there. So then I was thinking primarily, I was like, oh man, I may need to bring something else. And Nader, you told me, hey, look at the integrations, just see what they have available first, because that's always going to be your best bet before you bring on like another system, another app to the table. So I was like, okay, cool, let me try to do that. So I was looking, I was like, man, I don't know, I don't see anything. And then I stumbled on this app called Honeybook, I believe. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. So I Googled it a little bit, see what they did, and it brought in, I believe, a lot of the stuff that I was missing just from Calendarly. So I was like, oh, this could be a solution. So then I signed up with them yesterday for the free trial, still doing the 20 minute like tool assessment what you gave me. And I'm working on it now. It seems to be really good. I'm using it for my prospective clients. So I have like 4 that I've onboarded like during the last week with Calendarly. So now I'm going to use this new integration too to see if I could just play the field a little bit, test the waters, and see how it is. But it's looking promising.
What does Honeybook do for you exactly?
So Calendarly is good for if I have a new prospect and they could book, I could create a schedule for them. So, hey, 30-minute consultation session, you could book it with me through Zoom, whatever you want. So they could do it. It's automated. Okay, Richard's available 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. Let me do the 4. I don't have to do anything. It just sent to my email. Awesome. What I wanted to do is also have a system where I could book reoccurring clients, and I could have my current clients who let's say have packages, just have session counts for them. So, okay, you have 10 sessions left, 9 sessions left, whatever. If you buy a monthly package, this is when you're going to renew the whole package, things of that nature. So that last part is what Honeybook does. And it's like, okay, you could book the client, the coaching sessions individually. You could book the packaging sessions, whatever you want. So that's how it like integrates. So now I have the onboarding process, and now I have the current kind of clientele, their needs covered.
Fantastic. So guys, so there's a few things that Richard has done here that's quite amazing. First, he's taken on a tool. He's done a 20-minute test. It's worked for him. He selected a tool. He found the limitations. And then he did what I call is integration browsing. Integration browsing is finding the native integrations inside the tool rather than finding something outside. You look at it like you're window shopping. You don't go look for what you're looking for specifically, because it opens up your mind to possibilities. What Richard has done is found a tool called Honeybook, which has then enabled him to do his full onboarding and further experience. So what Calendar did for him is automate the initial part, which where the pain was, but he was able to then automate remaining of the process by managing the sessions, as he clearly has mentioned. What's also interesting is Richard has already tested it on live clients. So he's got 4 clients he's testing on, and now he's going to the next step. So an incremental move, but in progression and happening really quick. This growth hack will then eventually accelerate his growth, because he's moving on to client number 5, 6, 7, and 8, who he'll implement the Honeybook. Is it kind of Honeybook, right?
Yes.
Honeybook.
Yes.
Perfect. And then the next integration. So you don't need to have everything perfectly set up in the beginning. You need to just start. And that's what Richard has done. He's just started with the tool. He onboarded 4 clients. He's discovered there's a new integration that will help further the experience. He's putting it into play. And that's what brings us here now to hack number 2. Correct me if I'm wrong. which is then creating the personas of who he plans to pursue in a very strategic way. And he'll explain that more to you.
Yes. So my second hack is for just reach. So developing the focus and clarity, creating target audiences, client avatars to market towards specific ones. So from my experience, this is what I'm taking this from. The first client avatar I want to target are women in my area, or female adults over the age of 45. So there are a few reasons why I want to do this. First off, they have a lot of changes going on in their lives in that time. So they have increased time available to them because children are growing up. They need less supervision. They may be going off to college and all that. So the change in the lifestyle in that regard, the family lifestyle. Also bodily changes too, because metabolism starts slowing down. There's a very big issue with loss of like bone mineral density and sarcopenia, so loss of muscle tissue in the body if you're not really on top of things. So that's another pain point that I'm trying to target, and I have targeted in my training history. And then third is just working on general weaknesses, because as we all grow older, then we have issues with the shoulder, arthritis, knee, hip, all of these issues come into play. And then it just gets aggravating the more these things pile up. But people don't understand really that you could take a lot of proactive actions in order to keep them at bay, or even reduce them a little bit, reduce the onset of the discomfort. So that's where I'm coming into play with my first client avatar. The second one that I'm aiming to target are males around that same age, 45. And in that regard, I'm working towards kind of condensing the time frame needed to get healthy. So a lot of people are busy workaholics building their businesses, and they don't have a lot of time. They have family responsibilities, work responsibilities, and all that, a lot on their plate. And the last thing people generally want to do is just go to the gym and just spend 45 minutes or so just working out and just feeling bad, especially if you don't have the results. So I'm aiming to target that population with hey, you're able to do this, 45 minutes if you're planning strategic with the program. If you couple that with some nutritional changes that you're able to consistently make over time, then the results are going to be pretty much guaranteed. You're going to see something, and if you see something, you just keep on going. That's where the results compound upon themselves. So that's my second audience that I'm looking to target. And then the third is just the online market. So I was always a trainer, a coach that did things one-on-one, face-to-face. That's something I was comfortable with. When the whole pandemic hit, I had to switch online. So that was my first kind of getting out of my comfort zone. And then after that, there's just a whole market. Everybody's more open to it, and it's scalable. So that's the thing that I'm really looking towards. I can't give my time to one-on-one clientele all day, but if I could do a video, or if I could create a program that could reach 10 people, 100 people, 1,000 people, then it's my giving my time and multiplying it by that number, which is exciting.
Fantastic. So Richard, have you given any thoughts to some growth hacks where you can experiment with some of your one-to-one clients live and turn that into something that's scalable and digital for your online clients? Have you given any thought to that, or any possibilities around that?
I know we've mentioned that a little bit during our conversations. And just from those talks, like I have ideas, but nothing really set on how I could. And like the thing I could say right off the bat is, if I'm working with a one-on-one client, and then I ask them, hey, can we record certain things like just during our sessions? So
Yep.
It's not just me being the dummy, right? It's so I could use them as a like a tool. So it's like, hey, we can do this. I think that's a way to make it scale, to make my sessions more valuable in the long
Absolutely.
run. But but besides that, it's just I have some work to do.
Yeah. So I think, like that's probably like growth hacks after the challenge, just something to think about, which is like, how do you bring in your existing one-to-one clients and use that to scale with some of your digital clients? Because there'll be two different demographics, two different pain points. But the point though is like having a really good quality online experience would differentiate you dramatically. Because there's just a lot of people trying to sell these things online, but not all of them have a really good experience. And so looking into the experience and how to do that with your existing one-to-one, I think there's a lot of growth hacking that can take place there. So I think it's just something to look forward to in the next ones. Now, kind of stepping back, like I think you've done a great job in being very specific. So that's probably the number one rule when it comes to creating the personas and who you're targeting is being sure like exactly who you're after, creating some variability to it. So it's not like just they have to be 45 years old. They got to be around 45 years old, right? The pain points. So the pain points are probably the most important element after that, because once you know who you're going after, I mean, you're out there. See, we're all problem solvers, right? I mean, you're a problem solver. I'm a problem solver. And so people pay us to solve a problem, right? And the better you are at solving that problem, the more valuable your services are. And so the more you speak to the idea of pain points, which is their problem, and how you can solve that, the more valuable you become and the more value you can create in the process when communicating with them. And so the pain points are like super, super important. And I'm glad that you picked up on that, especially at the kind of the age category that you're talking about, especially with the first category with the female. So I think that's really good. Now, is there anything that kind of cuts across all of them? I mean, just out of curiosity, like going back to probably one of our very first conversations with the 80-20 rule, if you recall, is there anything that's like common that just cuts across all the three personas that you're looking at?
I think it comes down to people just wanting to feel better about themselves, improving their self-image. And that's something like going into this growth hack, I was always the type of person that wants to help everybody. And I still do. I want to help everybody. I know I can help everybody. Everybody should have some type of exercise, strength and conditioning component to their lives, because it does nothing but benefit you. Even if you don't want to be a bodybuilder and stuff, it does nothing. Everybody needs this. Your body needs this. So coming from that kind of value, that principle, I'm like, I can help everybody. I can help anybody, but that doesn't work. And I've experienced this. It doesn't work when you're trying to create a connection with somebody and say, I can help you specifically. Like nobody really cares about everybody else, right? Everybody's like, what's in it for me? And not in a bad way, but like, what's in it for me? If I hire you, what can you do for me?
Exactly.
So that's
how can you solve my problem? That's the key.
Yes.
That's where the value is. Exactly.
Yes. So everybody will benefit from just improved self-confidence. And when you start feeling better, you don't understand how good you can feel until you experience it. I could tell you until I'm blue in the face, oh, you're gonna feel good. You're gonna have your energy levels, your mental clarity is gonna be sharpened, and you're just gonna be like operating on a different level. That's all well and good. Okay, yeah, that's fine. Until you really go and experience it, unless you jump into that pool, you're never really gonna know what it feels like. But once you experience that, then you're hooked. You're like, oh, I feel great. That's what like kind of drives you and motivates you further.
Exactly. Action. So have you given some thought as well? Like I know these are one-to-one, but have you thought of like group activities? So let's say you're targeting this, let's talk about your first persona, which are female between around the ages of 45 with those same kind of pain points. Are there things that could be lower cost, lower friction that you can bring in a group of that demographic as a way to get them set up to wanting to get to a one-to-one? So you can have like a open Tuesday, 10 people maximum. You do it every Tuesday for a month at a much lower fee. It'll look like lower fee per individual, but not overall for you. Probably a lot more than that. But what it does, it allows you to connect with the community, bring in several people, and it becomes like a lead generation tool. So you get 10 people in this group for 4 weeks, one time a week, and maybe 3 or 4 of them will say, hey, I want one-to-one. And then the next ones may go on to the next month if they wanted to. Have you given some thought of how to do that, just to create a bridge into your one-to-one services?
Yeah, that's a great point. Probably a month ago, I was dabbling with the idea of creating a kickboxing group class, because I'm a martial artist. I do a lot of like Muay Thai boxing and stuff. So, and I just love that stuff. So to be able to incorporate that, and it kind of fizzled out because all this other stuff kind of came about, but it's in the back of my head. I reached out to local businesses here that have like the martial arts studio, like the heavy bags and stuff, which I would need. So then I was thinking of partnering up with them, but that's a perfect point. So I could think about like kind of rekindling those relationships, or just reaching out. Hey, what's up? Like I'm thinking about doing this, and I brought this idea to my current client load, and a bunch of them were like, yeah, I'll do it. So it would be good to I would already have a population, I guess you could say, in the class,
like a launch pad to work from. Yeah,
yes,
I love that.
And then if I could just reach out to I guess the local audience, local population, and just say, hey, this is what I'm holding. Whoever's interested, come in. Just like you said, that could be like the first introduction to me and what I do.
Exactly. Plus, you can hit two birds with one stone. So there's the introduction to you, which is the one-to-one, but also you can probably use that as a way to scale to the online. So there's nothing better than seeing a group of people rather than just one person, and then you can do the one-to-one online as well. So I mean, I don't exactly have a solution for you there, but some thought around like get like a group of 10 people, you've got this energy, it's once a week, right? You create content around it, they're part of it, and it becomes part of your online bit, but also becomes a way to get to your one-to-one. So you hit two birds with one stone. The other thing that could be interesting is collaboration. So we've had other contenders, and I'll share one very specific example. So they're starting out and they're like, well, who would collaborate with us? I said, well, the people who collaborate with you all depends on how you demonstrate and show value, right? And the minute you can bridge that gap, you can almost partner with anybody, right? But it's just, you have to be able to show value. So knowing that your demographic and pain point would be, let's say again, around ages 45 for women going through changes, it could be an interesting idea to partner with maybe some of the medical doctors who may be dealing with that demographic, or physiotherapists. I think you've mentioned you work with some of them in the past, or currently. Some of the salons. I mean, I know it sounds weird, but it's the same demographic, right? So if it's the same demographic, right, but you're giving two different offerings, you create value, right? So it's not like competitive. So there could be things like that, which can just help you generate those leads into the group activities, and from group activities to one-to-one. And when you do the group activities and one-to-one, then you can use that for the online things that you're going to develop, so you scale. What's funny though is that your first part, which is the group part, is scalable because you have volume sitting there. And so it's kind of like you kind of go like scale and then not to scale and then scale again. But ultimately, you got to build that perpetuating effect that you're always scaling up. And that's what the purpose of this whole thing is. So I think like just probably giving some thought around that, because now that you've done a really good job in identifying, the question is what to do with it next, right? And I know that your next growth hack, which is hack number 3, is building the packages, right? And so maybe giving thought to the packages is your funnel, right? Is my group stuff, and then my one-to-one, and then my online stuff, right? And give it maybe, obviously you'll need to give it more definition, but that's just some thoughts for the next one. How did it go from hack 2 to hack number 3, and keep them obviously connected? So I don't know if that makes any sense, but yeah.
No, thank you, because you're just opening my eyes to different avenues of doing things, because I was hesitant to go into like the whole class thing, because it's not my own place, and I would be like using the other facility, and I would have to work around their schedule. So it was just like a few hoops. And I was like, but if I could do something like once a week or something like that, if I have that's like the lead generator, and then I could funnel them to like the online source where I don't need to have like another facility, or I don't need to have all those people in another spot at one time. That's very interesting. So I didn't think of that aspect of it.
Yep. Yeah. So always, like low friction, low friction, easy to go, low cost. So just low friction. And so that pumps up your funnel, right? You just get a ton of volume into the funnel, and then you give options how to work them through your funnel. So I think that's really awesome. What's really good is that you have really good on the ground relationships and groups that you're part of. And so you're very sort of like, you're very personable. So that's a very important element. And so you can build these groups and keep these groups running. I mean, you might find these groups may be the energy that drives you to everything else that you do. It wouldn't be a big surprise to me, but it may be the one thing you need as the fuel to just to inject, pushing you forward. But you don't know till you experiment, and that's what growth hacking is about, right? Experiment. So give it a try, take the action, and then we see what happens. Obviously, that would be not part of the challenge, but like the next part, which is obviously, I think, I don't know if I mentioned this to you, but I always mentioned in the last one, I'll take the opportunity to mention it now. Anybody who finishes, in the book, we've got the 20 space for 20 hacks, and 3 of them are the challenge. So if you finish all 17, I have an all-star program that I bring high performers into, and it's not exactly defined at the moment, but we have some interesting things on the table that will be developed for the all-star program. So some of these things we're talking about may shift into the remaining 17, and hopefully see you in the all-star program. So yeah, we'll talk about that later, but yeah.
For sure. Yeah. For sure. Yeah. This stuff, each growth hack is like kind of leading to the other one. So it's exactly it sounds like a lot, like 20 growth hacks or whatever it may be, but you start with like 2, and then it just branches out, and it's natural, which is super interesting. I mean, like all this stuff is just natural progression.
Yeah, organically, just organic explosion. So that's awesome, man. So anything else we want to cover, or is that it for hack number 2?
I think that's it for hack number two. Obviously, I'm working on this stuff. The more I work on it, it'll flesh out and it'll develop. I think I have a good standing on it right now, like a good solid foundation. And then, like you said, I'll take action on it. I'll see if I have to revamp or edit some things, but I think there's good direction there.
Awesome. So the process is flexible, and that's the thing. It's all about what works. And one of the things that you've done is you've flipped hack 2 and 3 because you're like, that doesn't make sense. Flip it the other way around. And that's how agile this process is. When we design these hacks, is that we just need to be agile like that because there are changes that happen and we need to change with it. Otherwise, it won't work out. So just to recap, I mean, Richard is growth hacking, wellness, and personal performance. His hack number 1 is basically streamlining his existing onboarding and experience for his existing clients. He's done that very well with some automation and scalable tools with 4 clients he's tested on and will continue to grow with integrations. In hack number 2, he's gone ahead and created personas because he's going to be creating his packages in hack number 3. And hack number 2, as we've just covered, he's gone into extreme detail looking at exactly who he's targeting, but at the same time looking at their pain points and how to stretch that out to actually generate those leads. So that's hack number 1 and 2. And in hack number 3, we'll be looking at how to develop those packages. Thank you for tuning in. If you want more information about Richard and what he does, find it below. And if you'd like to look at the other videos, do click. They'll also be available. Thanks for tuning in.
Take care.